Hello and welcome back to Whirlwind Radio. This is Marcello Sukhdeo. Banning the use of smartphones in classroom. The screens on smartphones are also increasing in size. Are we going to see more 7-inch screen phones? And Google wants to help people with their digital well-being. They have some really good features to get us off our phones. I find it annoying, really annoying, when you're in a meeting or, say, delivering a presentation at work, and one of the attendees is on their phone, texting, emailing, or even watching a YouTube video. It is really disturbing to see that. I believe that when someone is giving a presentation or you're in a meeting, our phones should be turned off or put on a silent at least. This way we can really focus on the person speaking rather than being distracted by our phones. Now what about the classroom? Kids today have smartphones. They are practically on their phones for hours every day. I pulled up a study that was done in 2015, so this is a little while back. And I'm sure that this problem is more prevalent today. And that study pointed out that teens are spending more than 1/3 of their days using media, such as online video or music. Nearly 9 hours on average. And those between the ages of 8 and 12, the average is nearly 6 hours per day. So quite a lot of time on their phones. Now, not only are kids spending this amount of time on their gadgets out of school, they're bringing them to their classrooms while the teacher is speaking. Kids are on their phone, texting, on social media, and watching music videos. How can someone take in what the teacher is saying if they are being distracted by what's coming out of their phones? They just can't. One country that is taking a serious step to get rid of this problem in schools is France. French lawmakers have voted to ban smartphones in school. The use of smartphones, that is. They have decided that students under the age of 15 must leave their cell phones at home, or at least have them turned off during the school day. This ban also includes the use of tablets, computers, and other internet-connected devices as well. There are, of course, some exceptions for students with disabilities and also for educational use in the classroom. Now, high schools have the option to go with this or not. But for those under the age of 15, this is a no. France has been very strict about the use of smartphones in school. In 2010, for example, the use of smartphones was prohibited during all teaching activity. And earlier this year, the lawmakers banned texting in your car, even when you pulled over on the side of the road. So not even on the side of the road you could be texting in France. This ban was made to send a public health message that kids should not be spending as much time as they do on their devices. This is a measure that I think all countries should adopt, and even companies, to have a rule in place to turn off smartphones during meetings, or to even put it in silent. And that, I think, will lead to more productive outcomes for meetings, for companies, and for kids. And, of course, a better learning experience. A few years ago, when you hear about a 7-inch device, automatically you think of a tablet. Today, that is changing. Huawei is introducing a new phone in its Honor Note series, and this model is coming with the line's biggest screen yet, just a little under 7 inches. That's a lot of screen on a smartphone. Now, this is not the first time that a company has released a phone of this size, but it goes to show that phone screens will continue to grow especially since manufacturers are now more equipped than ever before at slimming down their bezels, making these phones still feel comfortable when holding, even though they have larger screens. Now, if you're curious about this smartphone, it comes with either a 6GB or 8GB of RAM and storage of 64GB and 128GB. It has this huge AMOLED screen, and it's just a little bit over the 1080p. Now, if you're a fan of the headphone jack, then you will be disappointed to hear that there is none on this phone. So the company is following the trend set by Apple to go without the headphone jack, pushing the need for wireless headphones. But putting that aside, on the plus side, the phone has a massive 5000 milliamp battery to match the extra large screen. As I've said before, this is not the first time that we're seeing a phone with a screen size this big. Samsung has phones that are up in the 6-inch range. Huawei released a 7-inch display on its MediaPad X2 back in 2015. Lenovo also hit with a 7-inch mark that year. And back in 2013, Asus made a 7-inch phone pad. Huawei is launching the Honor Note 10 in China for about $410. I think that we'll continue to see, with slimmer bezels, or none at all, that manufacturers will continue to increase the size of the screens. Now, having a phone just under the 7-inch mark, I think, is ideal, especially if you like larger screens. For those of you who prefer a smaller phone size, the 5 to 6-inch range is pretty good as well, especially for those with smaller hands. Google is planning to release some new features to help us to see and manage the time we spend on our devices. Of course, this has been a major problem over the years, where people are spending more time with their devices and then looking back and say, hey, I didn't realize that amount of time just went by. Now, by doing this, the company is hoping to so that we can better understand our habits and then be able to control the demand that is taking on our lives and using up our attention. With all of this, it's helping us to focus more, or it wants us to focus more on the matters that are more important to us. So it sounds a little ironic coming from Google. Of course, they want us to be on their devices. But there's this big call that is out there where people are trying to manage their time more effectively and to spend less time with devices. Of course, spending time with our phones can be beneficial if you're doing something or you're looking for something that would help you. But in most cases, it's just a time waster. There are times when I'm on my phone and before I know it, it's an hour just slipped by. And then I get this guilty feeling that, you know what, I could have done something better with my time. And many people have the same feeling, wishing that they have spent that time more effectively. Now, Google thinks that the first step to solve this problem is to understand our habits. So what they've done, they came up with this new feature that is called Dashboard. Dashboard tells you how much time you spend on your phone, how much time you spend in specific apps, and how often you unlock your phone. Also, how many times or how many notifications you receive on a daily basis. So people who have used other apps to track their screen time, there are many apps out there, have discovered generally that they spend twice as much time on their devices as they thought they did. It is quite easy to get caught up with something on our phones without realizing that the time, just went by. Of course, it is not just a time waster. There are other issues like people getting depressed after spending so much time on their phones. So that's the first step, to come up with a dashboard to tell you exactly where you're spending your time on your phone. The other step that they're looking to implement is another tool that is called the app timer. With this, you can be able to set a cap on the time that you would like to give certain apps. Say for example, Facebook. Say you don't want to spend more than 30 minutes a day on Facebook. You set that timer on. Then as you approach that limit, you'll get a reminder that your time is almost up for Facebook. And then that app, and this is what I like, that app icon will begin to turn gray. Other features include the wind down, which automatically sets your phone to do not disturb and also adjusts your display settings at a time that you set. Now for Apple users, you can relate to this with night shift and also the bedtime features. But Android is looking to take this to a different level, where they will turn your screen from your color screen to grayscale mode. Other updates include Shush, and this is a feature that allows you to set your phone to do not disturb simply by turning it upside down. And also there's a new batch notifications setting that delivers all your YouTube notifications in the form of once daily. So it comes in one notification at a time that you set during the day. Now, talking about notifications, this can be a very bad thing. For some, according to some studies, it causes anxiety and hyperactivity among people, because as soon as you see a notification, you get a little tense or stressed, wondering what's that, if it's a text or something like that. Now, one study found that disabling notifications left some of the subjects feeling less stressed and more productive during their working hours. But on the other hand, they became more anxious for the fear of missing important notifications. So the steps that Google is taking are great. But it comes down to that point as to whether we will comply with these features. We can have these features, but if we don't use them, if we don't take action to turn off Facebook when the reminder pops up, then it's not really going to be helpful for us. To use these features and to reclaim our time, we have to take action. And I think Google has a really wonderful way of doing this with this new release that they're planning to come out with, and giving us the tools needed so that we can see for ourselves the amount of time that we're spending on our devices. Thank you for joining us on Whirlwind Radio for today. I'd like to let you know that we did a BlackBerry review recently. That's a BlackBerry Key 2. And you can find that video on our homepage. Be sure to check that out to see the latest phone from BlackBerry. From the rest of the team here at Whirlwind Radio, this is Marcello Sukhdeo saying stay safe in the technology whirlwind.